A plague quietly swept the world. 99.9% of people died overnight. A man survived an accident and somehow lived. But being alive made him feel suffocated like never before. As possibly the last survivor on Earth, how does he face this new world? The latest 2024 post-apocalyptic drama, Earth Abides, arrives with heat and heart. Ish is a geologist. On a field trip, he was bitten by a venomous rattlesnake. Although he cleaned the wound in time, the venom still spread through his blood. By the time Ish got home, his mind was already fuzzy. Soon his hand swelled up like a bun. Half conscious, Ish even saw people passing outside his house. After an unknown amount of time, he finally recovered from the poisoning. With some water and rest, Ish slowly got better. When he stepped outside, his car was caked in dust. He then drove into town. What shocked him was there was no one on the road. At the supermarket entrance, Ish found a dead police officer on the ground. There were other corpses nearby. A plaza sign warned that, due to a pandemic, the U.S. government had suspended operations. Realizing how bad things were, Ish rushed to his parents' house. Sadly, when he arrived, his parents were already dead. The room reeked. They'd been dead a long time. Ish covered his face in pain. He was deeply shaken and couldn't calm down. He dug a hole in the backyard and buried his parents himself. Back in his childhood room, loneliness carried him through that sad night. Ish wondered where everyone in town had gone. The next day he guessed where people might be and went to the church. Cars crowded the outside, and some still had people inside. As expected, the church was full of bodies. It seemed people turned to faith when they lost hope. But how did the virus start, and why did he survive? Back at the supermarket, Ish gathered supplies and some weapons. He planned to try the city. Maybe there were other survivors. At the bridge to the city, the road was blocked by obstacles. Ish felt like he was in a nightmare, but the brutal reality suffocated him. He had no choice but to take a long detour. By night, Ish reached the city. The streets were lit but dead, just like the town. There wasn't a single living person in sight. Lost, he wandered into a mall. The elevators still worked. The escalators noisily ran. But the huge mall was empty. Since there was no one else, Ish let loose. He walked around nearly naked. Later, drinking at a bar, a woman suddenly startled him. Surprisingly, there were two other survivors here. Ish was amazed. The blonde woman, and guessed they might be immune to the virus. Because of the snake bite, Ish had been out of it for 3 weeks. During that time, Milton, the older man, had recorded the disaster on his phone. A mysterious virus exploded and spread fast through crowds. With no vaccine, the pandemic killed tens of thousands and society collapsed. They were among the very few lucky ones. But losing family left them living with deep pain. The harsh truth left Ish stunned and helpless. Distressed, he rushed back to his room. The next morning, bright sunlight woke Ish. He went looking for the two people he met last night. After searching, he found Ann in a clothing store trying on clothes. Even with a man nearby, she didn't feel safe. Having lost family and children, she walked like a walking corpse. And said she had been a doctor who had come for a conference and never returned to her family. Milton's wife had died here, and Ann had tried to save her but failed. Ish's arrival cheered them, but he said he wouldn't stay. On hearing this, Ann was stunned. For Ann, Milton couldn't fully comfort her. When the apocalypse happens, many old things don't matter. Milton hoped Ish would stay. They had plenty of food and supplies to survive. More importantly, Ann needed him. But Ish wanted to see more of the world. He believed the world was big, and there had to be other survivors. Ish approached Ann to offer comfort. Instead, she started undressing. Ish stopped her and said he could take her with him. But that wasn't what she wanted. She had something important left to do. She tried to cling to him with affection, but he pushed her away. As he stepped out of the hotel, a sharp gunshot split the air. Soon another shot rang out. The desperate pair had taken their own lives. Ish felt suffocated by their choice. Is living even meaningful anymore? He hurried off, trying to escape the pain. Unexpectedly, a dog blocked his path. Maybe fate had arranged it, they bonded. So Ish took the dog, named him Lucky, and hit the road. All he could think about was going back home. Ish picked some favorite books from the library. At home, he tidied his parents' bed. The warmth of home eased his fatigue. Diving into books and with Lucky at his side, loneliness faded. But Ish's life was stuck in place. Time was a dull prop. When he felt lost, a column of smoke on the opposite hillside gave him hope. There were other people besides him. Who were they? To find out, Ish drove over. The stranger, Emma, was tense when he approached. She told him not to come closer. Ish explained his purpose. They were neighbors, and he hadn't seen anyone for a long time, so he came to say hello. Emma softened and invited him in. During the chat, he learned she'd been hunting since childhood, an advantage now. Feeling awkward, Ish prepared to leave, but she asked him to stay. She'd been staying here for a few nights, and Ish had just happened to see the smoke. The next day, Ish happily invited Emma over. She was glad to come. While she toured his house, Ish quickly cut down a rope used for hanging, a sign he'd been close to giving up. Her arrival gave him new hope to live. They went to the supermarket to stock up. Everything was available, though rats were common. Over time, they lived together and helped each other, and feelings grew. "Now it's just you and me," Emma said, thinking it was fate. Love warmed two lonely hearts and brought them together. With a partner, Ish wanted to make their home better. To power the house, he climbed onto the roof to install solar panels and accidentally twisted his ankle. Emma tenderly treated his wound. They acted like a real married couple. At night, she pulled out photos of her family. Before the virus, she'd had a happy home with a husband and 2 daughters, but the sudden virus had taken everything. After living together a while, Emma became pregnant with Ish's child. When she told him the good news, Ish looked troubled. He didn't feel ready to be a father. No hospitals, no safety. He worried what would happen to the child if something went wrong. Emma believed they'd be fine and was full of hope. With her encouragement, Ish accepted reality and began studying childbirth and parenting. As time passed, her belly grew and she needed more nutrition. The yard chickens couldn't supply enough for the baby. To get more protein, Ish went hunting. Usually Emma hunted, but because she was pregnant this time, he went instead. He had little experience. Trying to calm a cow, he even talked to it like a person. Most cows ran off. Only one kept grazing, so he saw a chance and shot. The cow died, but butchering was a problem. He lacked experience. Following the book, he learned to cut the carcass step by step. It was a disgusting and grueling process for him. Back home with the meat, Ish bragged about it. Seeing his mess, Emma decided to tease him. Hunters supposedly eat the heart to prove bravery. Ish believed it and was about to try when she burst out laughing. Unexpectedly, the beef attracted trouble. That night, just as he finished wiring the house for power, Emma brought in a dead mouse. Rat poison and traps weren't enough. She worried the rats would attack them. With the smell of beef and kitchen waste, heaps of rats swarmed in. Realizing the danger, Ish threw the meat outside. Emma used the gun to shoo them away, but next, dozens of rats poured out. They ran back inside and blocked gaps with anything they could find. They thought the worst was over, but upstairs something rustled. Their dog had been left outside, and the rats were attacking it. To save Lucky, Ish opened the door briefly, but many rats slipped in. He smashed them with the gun stock, fighting through the night. By dawn they'd survived, but Lucky barely made it. Ish worried, what if he lost Emma too? To ease his mind, Emma shared her painful past. Soon after the outbreak, she'd lost both daughters in one day and had considered ending it, but life had to go on. She refused to drown in guilt. Ish realized he had to face whatever came. With stray cats helping reduce the rat problem, life steadied. Then the day of Emma's labor arrived. While Ish anxiously waited, she sensed something wrong. The baby was stuck. Panicked, Ish searched for the book. Emma said there wasn't time and, having given birth before, told him to help turn the baby. After a tense struggle, the baby was born safe. Both mother and child were fine, easing Ish's fears. Time passed and the family found happiness. 6 years later, while out, Ish found a little girl. He tried to help, but she resisted fiercely. He left disappointed, but hunger brought her back. Ish brought the girl home. By then she already had 2 children and another on the way. Though she came home, she stayed very wary. Ish guessed she had PTSD. As time went on, more survivors found the town. Ish thought maybe others from her group were still in the forest, so he went with an assistant to search. In a cabin they found signs someone had lived there. The girl's backpack had a letter from her mom. Her name was Evie. After the outbreak, her father became abusive, leaving her quiet and withdrawn, and her mother left a note asking that a kind stranger take care of the child. Another year passed. Ish welcomed his third child and new challenges. While celebrating, the yard bell rang and the couple, guns ready, went to check. In the woods they met other travelers. After confirming they were friendly, Ish invited them home. They said they were traveling south looking for survivors and had teamed up on the road. Ish thought they might be Evie's family, but they denied knowing her. Emma made a bold decision and invited a few travelers to stay temporarily. Ish remained cautious. Not everyone can be trusted. Emma urged him to be open. Others had survived the same way. That's why she once left markers, so survivors could find home. But more people means more mouths to feed, so they needed to go out for supplies. Ish organized pairs to scavenge. After years of searching, the town had little left. To find medical supplies, the doctor went to a small hospital. Unexpectedly, there was a mummified body there. When she panicked, a hunting dog ran out of a nearby room. Quick thinking, and grabbed a fire extinguisher and drove the dog off. Luckily, she found the pharmacy. When and didn't return for a while, Ish worried. They needed to leave before dark. Thankfully, and came back with medicines. But many of the drugs were ones the travelers needed. Ish still harbored suspicion about the newcomers. Back at the community, around the campfire, everyone enjoyed themselves. A singer performed and lifted spirits. But Ish didn't know she was hiding emptiness and depression. She slipped into drinking again until the doctor talked her down. 7 years flew by. The children grew into young people, and the community got along well. One day, Ish took his youngest son Joey to the library when a storm rolled in. They hurried home, and everyone stayed inside. That's when the kids noticed Lucky missing. Ish went out in the rain to look, but a fallen branch struck and killed Lucky. Grief-stricken, Ish held the dog and mourned. After burying Lucky, life sank back into difficulty. Then, while tending to the children, a wild beast approached. To protect the kids, Ish threw himself at the lion. The animal tore large wounds from his body. The terrified children screamed for help. By the time they rescued him, his body was ripped and bleeding. He could have died from blood loss, but timely care saved him. Seeing him wounded, Emma was heartbroken. Determined to avenge him, she grabbed a gun and went into the woods. Following blood tracks, she found the lion mother and pulled the trigger. Though Ish survived and confessed a secret, she had dropped out of medical school and never graduated. Ish encouraged her. She'd changed that lie with action. After recovery, Ish returned to family life. As the children grew, many wanted to leave town and see the wider world. With permission, his daughter and a neighbor boy set off, planning to return before winter. They left amid family farewells. But soon problems hit the town. Evie discovered the tap had been turned off while fetching water, alerting Ish that their water system had issues. He and companions checked the reservoir and noticed vehicles on the dam, which put Ish on guard. Uncertain if they were friend or foe, Ish rushed back to warn the town. Not long after, the strangers' convoy arrived. Armed, Ish negotiated. A scruffy man named Charlie offered a kettle as a friendly sign. He warned of drought. Reservoirs might soon dry up, and showed drilling equipment to prove goodwill. Seeing his honesty, Ish opened the town to them. They talked plans. Ish would give food and shelter, Charlie would drill a well in 3 days, and Charlie asked for fuel for travel. They agreed and Charlie began drilling. They even went hunting together. Charlie talked and acted decisively, with a hard edge. Ish stayed cautious. Over time, Ish sensed something off about Charlie, but Emma thought he was overreacting. Like before, Ish kept his distance inside. But watching the kids bond with the newcomers made him doubt himself. Was he paranoid? One night, Charlie chatted with the singer and tried to win her over, though she remained firm. After relentless work, Charlie finally hit water and everyone celebrated. Only Ish wore a grave look. He wanted Charlie gone and urged him to pack and leave as promised. Charlie refused to leave, saying he loved the place and hadn't promised to go. With water restored, people rejoiced, but Charlie had other plans. Praised by his own people, he became a local hero and eyed replacing Ish. Soon Charlie showed his true self. Under cover of night, he raped the sleeping Evie. When Ish learned this, he called a council. Emma argued that even if they expelled Charlie, he might return with more men. Only killing them would end the threat. Some opposed that extreme. After moral struggle, the community reached a decision. Ish went to Charlie's camp with a sledgehammer. He called Charlie out, and with the group surrounding them, Ish smashed Charlie to death. Surprisingly, Charlie offered no fight. Afterward, Ish was filled with guilt. He couldn't believe he'd become a killer. The next day, Charlie's girlfriend learned what happened. At first shocked, she ultimately hated Charlie. His death might be a relief. When Charlie's men woke, Ish stood ready and they faced off. Under psychological pressure, many surrendered and joined Ish. The one who refused, Silas, was driven out. But Silas later returned pleading for shelter. Ish, knowing his true nature, turned him away. Years passed, and under Ish's leadership the community grew stable and prosperous. His son showed creativity and built a small solar-powered plane, showing youthful energy. Then misfortune, Joey fell ill. At first Ish thought it was a cold, but when he collapsed, Ish realized it was serious. The doctor suspected a deadly infection with no cure. Ish refused to believe the virus could return. Soon more people showed symptoms, and they scrambled to treat them. Ish could only pray for his son's survival through the night. By morning, Joey had pulled through the worst. The daughter who had left earlier returned home, though the boy who went with her left again. To get emergency meds, Ish risked a trip to the city. Crossing the bridge, he found a hospital and secured many medicines. Still unsure his son would survive, he prayed. Meanwhile, a couple chose to roam the ruins and searched coastal towns, following footprints and arrow signs until they found a place to settle by the sea. They planned to stay until winter, then return home. Unexpectedly, they met Silas, the outcast Ish had rejected. Silas wanted food, which turned into a fight. Seeing her lover wounded, the girl killed Silas with an axe. Her boyfriend died from wounds. After burying them, she returned home, taking weeks because her Jeep had broken down. Now her brother lay dying, and she stayed to comfort him. At that moment, Ish returned with medicine. Time was short. He intended to give his antibodies to Joey, but the daughter objected, fearing it would scare Joey. Following the doctor's advice, they placed the boy in an outdoor ice pool to lower his fever physically. Luckily, this outbreak wasn't as deadly. Many recovered. After hearing about the girl's killing incident, a man named Corey asked for a description and identified the killer as Silas. His fate made people reflect. Was that what happened to outsiders? Eventually, the disease returned and claimed Ish's beloved son. Ish collapsed emotionally and lost the bright picture of his wife he used to hold. In despair, he lost his faith, thinking his life a false fairy tale. His wife's grieving pleas could not pull him out at first. After time passed, Ish slowly found himself again. He became a teacher to help kids learn about the world and wanted to pass on knowledge that could change their fate. While cleaning one day, he found his son's diary. It had a radio design. The child believed there were other survivors out there. To find them and fulfill his son's wish, Ish started building a radio. With everyone's help, the radio began working. Ish kept broadcasting, hoping other survivors would hear. As the earth healed, life calmed. Talking with his daughter, he noticed she mentioned a set of numbers, possibly radio coordinates. He tuned the frequency eagerly, but got no reply at first. Then, unexpectedly, a woman's voice came through the broadcast. Everyone was thrilled. She said her shelter had 77 people living on an island who mainly fished to survive. They were all very happy to hear this. Ish hesitated briefly, worried they might be dangerous. Encouraged by the group, he chose to connect with them. 50 years after the pandemic, the land had healed and life returned. The old town had grown under Ish's care. An elderly Ish handed the hammer down to his son, asking him to pass on the breath of life. That, in short, is the story's ending. After the deadly virus wiped out most of humanity, the few who survived endured. With time, the earth healed and life returned. But the show focuses less on disaster spectacle and more on building family. At first it's interesting, but it becomes dull later. It's basically a family drama wearing an apocalypse costume. That's all for today's recap. Thanks for watching.